So today our topic of lecture is motivation, and in this topic we will discuss about definition, different motives, and what are the types of motivation we have in our life, and the theories like how they are explaining the different motivations. So firstly, let me explain like how we can define the motivation, and basically it's a Latin word and which means to mover, means move. So basically motivation is like you are moving, or maybe you have some desire, maybe some commitments which is trying to give you some change, or you are going to move from that for that purpose, or maybe to fulfill that desires. And in other words, it's a pulling force like which is pulling you and driving you for some behavior, and maybe you desire something for some goals for your life, or maybe you have some desires like to buy something. So that is the motivation actually. And motivation is also defined as internal state, uh, internal state that arouses the energy and which directs you to maintain certain behaviors. So it means it's also something inner force which is helping you, and we can see from different daily life example like for the basic needs we also have motivation to fulfill those basic needs. And after, like if you see the Maslow's hierarchy of need, so after that we have some other needs like related to the self-efficacy, self-actualization. So we, that is related to our internal state of, depends on internal state or our internal desires. So we also focus on that one and we feel motivated for them. And motivation is basically desire to achieve a goal combined with the energy to work towards that goal. And motivation is about the art of getting people to do what you want to do, because like we have some expectations, we have some desires, or we have some plans or future plans, the goals we have. And for the student, sometimes it happen like they are bored with the assignments, they have no interest in some specific course, maybe the introduction to psychology, or maybe in the next semester you have different courses related to psychology, and you find out the statistical analysis course is like boring for you. So it depends, like sometimes we start taking interest in that courses, and we don't need any external force. External force means like any reward, or we are not caring about the marks or GPA. We just take interest into those courses, and we focus on them like okay, we have to work with those assignments or maybe the class activities of that course. So it depends, and that is the motivation for us. But in other cases which is like somehow reality, that we are working with assignments and preparing the quiz forcefully because it's a demand, and for our GPA, or maybe we are concerned about the grades. So it depends and have different scenarios. So on the other hand, if the student encounters challenges in researching and writing a paper but persistent and overcome hurdles, so that is basically a motivation. So it means that motivation is involved, but in the next slides we will give it the name, like what type of motivation is that, because it's a force we define in the start, a pulling force, a driving force, and by which you are moving towards some goal to achieve that goal, or maybe you have some commitment with that task. So there is different characteristics of motives. For the motivation, the motives, and it depends interference with the inferences from the behavior, and you don't need to be like conscious aware of them, some motives. And these motives basically explain our behaviors, and also it provides predictions related to our behaviors. So our motives have different characteristics which based on our behavior, our behaviors explaining that motives, and we are moving and we are behaving according to that motives. Like if I need something and I have, maybe I have a, like I am using the wrong path, like unethical way to find out that goal. So it depends on our motives, and that will show by our behavior. So maybe we need, there is a right way to achieve that goal. Like maybe it is time consuming. I have to wait for 2 hours, or maybe for a program, like to get a degree or certification, I have to wait for 3 years or 2 years or 1 year. But sometimes we find out, okay, no, we have to get the fake degree or all this stuff. So maybe we sometimes choose the short ways, like which is not legal, and but to fulfill our basic needs. That is the sometimes like the basic needs. Like if we talk about in our society, the culture of corruption. Okay, so sometimes they are just giving you some reward if you are at a good position, and because you set some motives, and you need some, okay, I have to fulfill my these needs. Maybe your basic needs are fulfilled, but still you have some more desires, and for that you find out, okay, so this is the motivation, and this is something is someone is forcing you, okay, like you have to do this task and then I will give you some reward. So it depends from situation to situation, but they can also motivate you, the culture of that institutions, of that departments. Like some departments are very notorious for corruption, and again it's a culture. So sometimes we are just following that culture, or sometimes we just try to change that culture, and in the return we have the example like they will transfer you, maybe terminate you from the job. So it's a worse condition. I'm just, for the example I'm adding here. And then what motivates people? Again, you can find out the external rewards, means the salary, the working conditions, benefits, environment. Okay, so it means these are the basic things which are motivating us, and these are external. So there must be like maybe something negative can be happen here, and the environment and the salary is a good, like working condition, like you are comfortable. Sometimes we prefer, like we are not caring about the salary, about the salary pay packages. Maybe they have some incentives related to the health policy or retirement plans, but some people prefer, okay, I just want to go to the private departments, institutes, organizations, and they are happy with the working environment. Okay, so then the internal rewards, basically, again I sometimes I find out, like in myself I figure out that they are basically deciding, and like your own will, and sometimes you're not happy with the organization, with the environment there, and you were thinking like it's not, I'm not grooming well, it's not good for my development, and I need to go for further studies, and the organization are not granting me with some leaves related to the study leave, or study leave with the salary, like they are paying you at that time period, like maybe you're spending some time for your master's degree, and the organization is also giving you reward for that. So it depends, but now we have different motivations from the government for officials as well, that If you are doing MPhil, they will give you some. If you have an MPhil degree, but you're selected on the basis of the just bachelor's, like 14 years education, so they have some reward every month. Like in your salary, they give you like maybe 10,000, 20,000, depend on the department. But in the Punjab and federal, they have the like similar um, incentive for that. So now the employees, like maybe their age is 35 or 40, they are planning for the masters. Sometimes they are applying for the scholarship, because again this is the motivation. And the scholarship basic criteria is like if you're a government servant, maybe in some specific department, so they are trying to motivate. And that motivation will be like maybe it's your own will, you want to get some more knowledge, and you want to focus on your learning and growth perspective. And the other is like, okay, now it will also helpful to increase your salary at the end of every month. So we have both internal and external rewards systems. But when it happen, like if there is no motivation, like if I'm working in an organization and they are not focusing on research outcomes, and they are not motivating me, they are not giving me any reward if I publish some paper, so then I have to be very conscious. And like maybe I am not I have stopped working on the publications. And because uh, I feel like it's nothing to do with this. I am just happy with my teaching job, and there is no reward for that. But actually, it will enhance my experience and CV. And for if I apply for some other jobs, that will be a good addition. And again, same time, if you're publishing some work, the university is paying you some reward for each paper you publish. So different criteria. So it means if there is not environment like that, there is no culture, and that will affect. And you have no motivation to go for to do research. And less or no motivation means like demotivating. So sometime in some organization we just figure out these aspects, like they are not growing well because their employer is not giving some new training programs or incentives, or like maybe not showing some other way like how they can move forward. So it depends on the organization. And if we talk about for the students, like you have different uh, motivations, like after this job, after this graduation, what will be your future, and maybe you can apply for some scholarships, and you can work as a psychologist. That is your interest and you want to be a psychologist. So it depends. And they will highlight, you can highlight the motivation by focusing on these factors. So these are the motivators we have in our life. And then we have different type of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. And some psychologists believe that the personal traits, uh, like you have some curiosity, or maybe you have some artistic skills. And sometimes we find out like the children, they are very curious about their toys. And sometimes we figure out, okay, like they want to be an engineer. And they open every twice. And so there is different in born, we can say, the intrinsic factors and the traits, basically, like thinkers, like. So it's about the belief they have, that depends on the our traits. But the other factor is that sometimes the situation is very important. Okay, so situation means like that is the only option you have. Like if tomorrow you have a quiz now, and you maybe you are not, you don't want to study and again revise the lectures and open the videos and recordings again and again. But The thing is that you need to pass that quiz. That is very important for your internals and the whole semester, and this is your first semester, so it will affect your CGPA grades. So it means you are forcefully you have to do, and your parents also have some expectations from you, and that will affect you, and you will try to find out the ways, okay, how can I get a good grade. So it means forcefully, because of some situational factors, you are motivated to prepare the quiz, or maybe you are asking help from the others. So it means like the grade and the state is a very important factor for this situation. And then if we talk about the intrinsic motivation, so basically it's a natural human tendency to seek out and conquer like some knowledge, like maybe we have some potential interest, and for that we work, we exercise our abilities, and we are intrinsically motivated. So like maybe sometimes we have to like face a lot of difficulties to get those aspect, and this type of motivation we call as a intrinsic one. And the example is like from, you can also take the example from your class, like if you start studying psychology and then you find out like the interest in this course, maybe you are happy with like when you are talking about the personality, about the different perspective in psychology, and like your interest is developing, and then I think you will not care about more about the grades, but at the end, because you are taking interest and you are doing all the tasks very well, so you have a good grades at the end, so it will motivate you also, like you also your interest, and then getting the grade, so you have like more motivation for this course, and you remember the topics we discussed maybe for the next 3 to 4 years, and sometimes we save our notes, like the notes during the lecture recorded, so because it's interesting for you and you have motivation for this course, so it depends, and that is basically your intrinsic motivation. And next we have the extrinsic one, and in which like you have like only concern about the grades and maybe avoid punishment, like maybe you have fear from the parents because they are paying a lot of money for your education, and you are caring like okay, because maybe after, if you get C grade or B grade they will not be happy, so just for their happiness, or just to avoid the negative emotions or poor academic achievement, so you are just motivating yourself and pushing yourself to start working on the task, like maybe that is boring for you, you have no interest. So in the example we can find out like your grade is very important, and you're just concerned about your grade, and so you are not too much curious, so that is your extrinsic motivation for that. And next we have some theories of motivation, and like I already inform you, like because in this course, in this topic we will discuss the definition, the factors of motivation, and now the theoretical framework is also very important to explain the different behaviors we are showing, and the motivation by different uh, behaviors. So drive theory basically explain, so firstly we have the drive theory, and it explains the motivational tension, like drive is attention, arousal that energize behavior to fill a need, and it's a goal directed behavior, And like if you have a drive for thirst, maybe you are feeling hungry, so that is goal directed. Like you know what you want to, like maybe you need some water, you need food. So basically you're directly going towards to fulfill those needs. And the theory suggests that a lack of basic biological requirements such as water produces a drive to thirst, and to obtain that requirement, like maybe you are feeling thirsty. And many basic drives, like basically now they are focusing on the basic drives, sleep, sex, and other biological needs, like because as a human species. And then they're dividing these drives on the basis of the primary and the secondary. Like in the secondary, if we talk about, we have the, like maybe experienced we need, we are focusing on the learning, uh, like about some phenomena. Maybe you are focusing on some developmental, like of personality or grooming. But in the primary we have basic needs, and it is like the mainly our biological needs. But in the secondary one, uh, we have more about, like if you are artistic, and you are like trying to find out some positions or maybe some experience, or you're socializing with some people who have the same interest, like you are interested in some philosophical discussions. And then we have these needs, and this is the drive. We have the drive, we have that arousal, and which is goal directed. So that is the drive theories. And basically we can say that their achievement need is reflected in a secondary drive for the individual that motivates their behavior as well. And the next, we have the incentive theories. Incentives again, like maybe incentive in the form of reward, some money, some salary, or maybe like some, if you have some hobbies, and I will someone gift you the same thing, like maybe the old magazines or some TV series. So that is like an incentive for you. And again, the incentive theory also called the pull theories. So basically it's just like again pulling you, or you are attracted towards some particular goals or objects. So incentives or rewards or other stimulus or stimuli that motivate us to act. And incentive theory focusing on the pull of incentives in motivating behavior rather than the push. It's pull. And internal needs, so or these drives, you may feel drawn to buy, at least like maybe you want to buy some new phone, like iPhone 12 Pro Max. So that is not basically satisfying your basic needs or biological needs, but it's your some wish, or like maybe that is the attraction for you. Like if you have some new style car or new laptop or some new technology gadgets, so that depends. So basically you have some incentives. So theory is suggesting that the motivation stems from the desire to obtain valued external goals or incentives. In this view, the desirable properties of the external stimulus, whether grades, money, affection, or food, account for a person's motivation. And the same marketing strategies the different companies and the product companies are using, like if you use this soap, or maybe you use this cream or the perfume and this diet, so maybe you are healthy. So that is like incentive theories which are motivating the individuals. Okay, next we have the opponent process theory, and according to that, if a stimulus causes strong emotions such as fear or pleasure, an opposite emotion tend to occur when the stimulus ends. So basically, that we have the example of if you are in a pain, and some, like maybe you have some painkiller after that, or maybe you get relief. So that is a good experience for you, a sense of relief. And if a person feels player, as in the case of drug use, same like maybe with the addiction clients, and sometimes they become habitual and addict to that, and that is the player for them. Like if you give them the amount they need related to the, like maybe some caffeine or alcohol, so basically that craving, and it will be followed by the craving discomfort. So it means the stimulus causes strong emotion such as fear or pleasure. So that is the opponent process theory we have related to the motivation. Like we are according to that need, and to satisfy or get that pleasure, we are doing that task. And next we have the optimal level theories. It's also called just right theories. And the individual is motivated to behave in such a way to maintain the optimal level of arousal, like the balanced one. And it depends from person to person. The personality of a person is very important for this. Like maybe for some people the motivation, like they are always motivated to do something new every time. They are more like okay outgoing and planning for hiking every week, maybe just for the health issues, or maybe they are concerned like it's like something challenging for them, and they have time for that. So it means that is the motivation, they have the interest. And that's optimal level is different for everyone. Like maybe some people want a lot of experience or money or more materialistic, and for some it's like maybe the salary is fine for them. So it's basically the optimal level theories. And the belief that we try to maintain certain level of stimulation and activity, increasing or reducing them as necessary. And as with the drive reduction model, this model said that if our stimulation and activity levels become so too high, we try to reduce them. But in contrast to the drive reduction model, when we talk about the drive reduction model, the arousal model also says that if the level of stimulation and activity are too low, we will try to increase that stimulation. So it means like we are focusing on, we try to make the things normal, like balanced. If we are have less motivation or stimulation, we try to increase that one. And if we have already like extra motivation or stimulation, so we try to drop that one also. So people who participate in red devil sports, like, and maybe some gamblers and criminals who will pull off high risk robberies, maybe exhibiting a particular high need of arousal. So there is different factors, and maybe that can lead to the bad behavior. So it depends on the person. And motivation, like from this slide you can, from this lecture you can find out like there is a many factors, like maybe primary, secondary needs we are trying to fulfill, and then the environment, how the state of a person, the trait of a person, how it is influencing our motivation. And like for the motivation we also have like sometimes we have the role models, the prior experience. And we see from our environment, like if someone is getting a good job or maybe some having some good career, so we try to enhance our motivation for that. So basically in this lecture you have to focus on how we can define motivation, and what are the types, and then how, what are the theories we need to discuss. And this will be the part of your final term, so you have to focus on this slide as well. And this, the last, there is a one message for you, like for a success, like there is some tips, like notice each individual, uh, because maybe everyone has some good qualities and some good stuff, maybe it's not, we are considering the person is not right. but he or she must have some good skills, good knowledge, or something positive, and say thank you. That's a good sign, and your smile can make a big difference. Like if like you see, like some people are very smiling faces, like if you are in a stress, but their facial expressions are very important. So it means we like not come with the anger or stress, but we need to have a smile on our face, and respect and value other person. Maybe he is younger or elder than you, and belongs to different community or classes. So you need to be very respectful for everyone and everything you have, and try to share your knowledge and experience. Like if you have something uh, share, like maybe you have some suggestion, and you already know some knowledge, so that will enhance your and give you more experience for that. And be honest, like if you're in any profession, like as a student, as a teacher, as a office, like maybe you're working as a manager, so you have to be very trustworthy and honest, and try to like, this is the basic. Sometimes when people say the psychology, people tag you, and with the clients again they will focus on this behavior. So it means like create a blame free culture. Like no one can say anything to you, and you are not just focus on your individual self. Don't try to analyze different aspects of the other person's life. Maybe we are not aware about the logic of that. So this is the lecture for today, and if you have any question, we can discuss on our MS Team group or Zoom online classes, and maybe you can ask in the WhatsApp group. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you.